All right, so first thing you need to do is figure out what kind of problem is this. How do you proceed? I hope that you're able to see that this is a proportions problem. Two kind of giveaways here. You're given a proportion, 58 out of the 500, that's your p hat, and then also the questions are about percentages or proportions in general. So we're going to let p equals the proportion or probability of blemished potatoes in the truck. We don't know what it is. We're going to call it P. So the null hypothesis, if nothing is going on, P is less than or equal to 0.08 and the truck is fine. Otherwise, P is greater than 0.08 and we should reject that. We're going to assume that everything is good. And that you get from the problem here. If we find convincing evidence that more than 8% of the potatoes have blemishes, we're going to send the potatoes elsewhere. Otherwise, we're going to use. So we're assuming everything is good. We're just checking, is there evidence that actually it's not. We're going to go ahead and compute p hat, which is what? 58 over 500. You should get 0.116. Is our sample size large enough to safely rely on our inference procedures? Well, you just need to take your sample size 500 and you want to compute it times the null hypothesis value 0.08 and you're going to get 40. That's bigger than 10, so we're good to go. You don't actually have to do the other side. If 0.08 worked, 1 minus that is also going to be bigger than 10 because it's a lot bigger. But you can actually check it if you want. You get 460 and that's greater than 10 too. So we can say, yes, we are good to go. Carry out a test for significance. So now I'm going to compute my z statistic and I'm going to get 0.16. It's my p hat minus p naught. So 0.116, what I observed. And then I'm going to subtract the null hypothesis value, this number that showed up in both of these. And I'm going to divide by the square root of 0.08 times 0.92 over 500. When you compute all of this, you should get 2.975. That's almost 3 standard deviations away from the mean of 0, so I kind of can predict the p-value is going to be pretty small. So let's run it though. When you compute the probability using the normal distribution, that z is greater than or equal to 2.97, oops, I miswrote that, 2.975, you're going to get 0.00146. So what was our cutoff? We were actually given one, cutoff was 0.1. And so should we reject the shipment or not? We should definitely reject the null hypothesis. We should reject, and the question is, do we reject the shipment or not? We should reject the shipment. There's good evidence here that the null hypothesis is false and there actually are more than 8% of the potatoes. If you take 0.08 times 500, you should get only 40 potatoes. We had 18 more that were bad. And it turns out that's pretty good evidence that more than 8% of the potatoes have blemishes.